Hi, this is Rob Waller from Business Loan Services and welcome to my Friday Business Finance Bulletin, my weekly roundup of news, tips, ideas and strategies on raising finance and dealing with banks. So what have I got for you this week? Well, we're going to be looking at the latest report from the SME Finance Monitor team, looking at the kind of borrowing appetite amongst businesses. We're also going to be looking at a new program being launched by Santander to help UK house builders, and looking at a trend, something I've just spotted in the States, which who knows may come over here. And we're going to be looking at news in the short-term loan market with the merger of two short-term loan providers. And in my business finance tip of the week, a chat with Aldermore Bank about invoice discounting. So let's start off with the appetite to borrow. Now, I'm sure if you listen to the media a lot, especially over the last couple of years, you will have heard lots of hoo-ha about, banks not lending and businesses desperate for money. Well, if you go back through quite a few of the bulletins over the past 2 years or so we've been doing this, you'll see that, the appetite to borrow amongst many businesses is not as strong as many people think. And this consistently comes out in the SME Finance Monitor report. Now, this is a quarterly independent survey carried out amongst 5,000 business owners. And the latest one for quarter 4 2014 has just come out. And it shows that 37% of business owners are using external sources of finance. Yes, only 37%. Now that is down from 46% of them in 2011. So you can see that the businesses using external finance is beginning to shrink. Now, it may be that they're resorting to personal savings, but also appetite generally is going down and businesses are trying to get to the point of self-funding. So it's an interesting development. What about those businesses that actually classify themselves in the SME Finance Monitor team terms as permanent non-borrowers? They're not interested in borrowing. Well, that figure is also increasing. And in fact, the last report just come out shows that 43% of those businesses surveyed say they are no longer interested in borrowing money. Also, 71% of them saying that, once we repay our current debt, we're not interested in borrowing anymore. So that's quite a shift, isn't it? And it just shows that many businesses are probably getting to the point now where they are self-funding. So always take a little bit of a pinch of salt about this, this massive structural problem in the finance sector. Yeah, it is there to a degree, but not as bad as many people think. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you may be one of those businesses looking to source finance, and of course you're in the right place. Now, if you are a UK house builder, then perhaps you are one of those businesses that are struggling to get finance. It's always been difficult, especially in recent terms, to get development funding. Well, Santander Bank has spotted this opportunity and gap in the market. So on the 25th of March, they've announced that they will be launching a programme to finance UK house builders. They've taken £100 million from their breakthrough programme to allocate to this sector. And so what it is, it's a kind of mezzanine debt, which is a combination of debt and equity. So it's designed, just to really unplug that whole barrier that's there for house builders about trying to get money to develop land. So if you want to know more, certainly drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, or hunt out your local Santander commercial bank manager and they'll be able to point you in the right direction once the full details of that fund is launched middle of March. Now, it's always interesting what goes on in the States tends to come over here. And something quirky caught my eye this week. Staples, the home and office stationery supplier, have announced that they've done a link up with an online crowdfunding platform called Lendio. And so what they're doing now is, if you're a Staples customer in the States, go to their website and there'll be a massive banner there. And they'll say, do you want a business loan? Click here, and they'll take you through to Lendio. Now, obviously, Staples are not lending the money themselves. They're just fronting it. But it's an interesting example of a massive retailer now partnering up to broaden their revenue stream with a crowdfunding platform. So will it happen here? Who knows? Just watch this space, keep an eye on the press and watch this bulletin. And if you're a Staples customer, definitely keep an eye on it. I'm sure they'll be telling you if they do launch that program. Now, what about short-term loans? There are many businesses out there that don't want medium to long-term loans. They only need loans perhaps for a month or two, or perhaps just a year and a half. And there are a number of providers that have come into the market over the last few years to fill that short-term loan gap. News out this week that two of the leading providers are now coming together. Now, EasyBob just announced this week that they have acquired Everline. Now, Everline was owned by Wonga, only probably going about 2 years or so, and then they've now decided to throw their hat into the ring with EasyBob. So how does all this work? Well, it's very simple. Short-term loans. You know, they're not cheap sources of finance. So if you're looking from anything up to a couple of grand, up to £150,000, EasyBob are there. Interest rates, about 19 to 23%. So credit card interest rates, so not cheap. Arrangement fees, anything between 4 and 6%. Now, what's the advantage here? Well, it's quick. And we've used both these platforms, and everything can be done in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes. Very, very slick. So if you're in need of a very quick injection of funds, check out the likes of EasyBob, or again, just get in touch with us and we'll can easily sort that out for you. A very interesting development there in that short-term loan market. Now, what's my business finance tip of the week? Invoice discounting and factoring, becoming increasingly popular. And again, a number of providers out there. But how does it work, and how can you use it if you want to grow your business? Well, earlier this week, I had a chance to have a chat with Richard Whitehouse, who's a regional sales manager for Aldermore. And in chatting with Richard, I asked him just to give us an overview of invoice discounting and how it can help growing businesses. So let's go to that interview now.
Hi, I'm Richard Whitehouse from Aldermore Invoice Finance. I'm the Regional Sales Director for the south of the UK. Aldermore's a UK challenger bank established in 2009. We now lend £2.1 billion to UK SMEs. I work in our Invoice Finance division. We lend currently around £250 million to UK SMEs. Invoice Finance is a working capital product. It accelerates payments from your customers by advancing your funds against your invoices. Typically, we lend between 80 and 90% of the value of an invoice and pay you within 24 hours of receipt of that invoice on our system. We lend money to many UK businesses, primarily in the manufacturing, recruitment, and distribution and wholesale sectors, albeit we have clients in the construction finance sector and many more aside. We have a very open credit policy. We generally approach turnarounds of our credit applications inside 48 hours. 92% of our applications are approved and 98% of them inside that 48 hours. We have regional distribution here across the UK, so I have sales staff based from South Wales all the way through to Kent. Quite a large region for us to cover, but probably the biggest part of the UK economy, which we're very, very keen to support.
Okay. So just thinking about invoice discounting generally, what kind of stops businesses thinking about using invoice discounting?
That's a great question. I think we find that a lot of businesses are concerned perhaps about some of the history and stigma of the product. It's only been in the UK for 50 years now, so as a fairly new form of lending, despite it, we now fund around 15% of UK GDP, to about 45,000 businesses across the UK. So one of the challenges is maybe product awareness and some concern about the history. We'd say at Aldermore we have unedited feedback on our website from our clients to try and build some comfort around the way that we operate our business, and currently we rate at 4.8 out of 5 for client experience and client satisfaction. Other reasons would be, as I say, generally the awareness. It's a big incumbent on us to speak with financial intermediaries and the accountancy networks to help them understand how we can support businesses.
I find that when I talk to many businesses about growth generally, many businesses don't understand that growth needs cash. So do you think kind of invoice discount kind of solve that problem of growth?
I think it's a big part of the mix, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. It does. It really fuels growth. Around 72% of our clients last year came to us for funding for growth. It's a big part of what we do as a bank, and we have a big growth story ourselves. So we certainly understand that. I think the big challenge is around lack of confidence in existing bank lending. I think for many clients, a typical overdraft would raise maybe 50% of the sales ledger, perhaps sometimes even less. And that's not wrong for the bank to do that. They just aren't close to security. From our own point of view, we can provide significantly more funds, and the type of clients we like to work with are clients that would reinvest that in their business to generate future growth opportunities.
So there we are, some quick tips from Richard about invoice discounting and how it all works. Okay, if you want to know more, say just drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, or check out Aldermore on their website. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with us. As always, if you did enjoy it and you thought your colleagues will find it useful, please share the link to the video, share it amongst your colleagues. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much indeed. I look forward to being with you again next Friday. Have a great, successful and profitable week. So bye-bye now.